In today's video, I am going to show you how to embroider using some Estonian symbols on a curtain. My name is Dana Harris Seeger, and this is my Baltic handmade life. I am creating a simple knot by wrapping the yarn around my finger, and then I pull or rub my thumb against my first finger. That kind of twists up the knot, and then I can kind of pull that resulting knot and it holds. Quick and easy. I'm creating the running stitch by inserting my needle down, and then I pull it back up, or I push it back up for an even stitch. And it runs along the surface of the fabric. You can also do the stabbing method, which is to poke it down and then pull it through the back, and then you pull it up, poke it through and pull it back up the top. And that takes a little more time, but you could achieve a slightly more even stitch. I like to just do the running stitch that keeps it on the front of the embroidery work. And here I am making a knot. I'm finishing off the running stitch because I've reached the end. So I just simply make a half knot, and then I kind of weave it back through so that when I trim it, it is invisible and it kind of gets tucked inside. So with a blanket binding stitch, it's a bit like you're creating L shapes, and you want to kind of trap the yarn underneath that stitch. You're basically making, there you go, L's by inserting the needle perpendicular to the direction that you're going. So I'm basically creating a circle, and the little L, the tops of the L's are going to be on the outside. And if you were using the stitch to bind something like a blanket or a buttonhole, you would want those little L extensions to be down, and the top part that is connected on the edge or the outer edge, because it forms a nice kind of edge. So for the stem stitch, you basically make a line and you are going kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, a half a step back. And you can see how it kind of makes a wave or a diagonal, but that's just the way that the yarn lays on the surface. Your holes that you're stabbing down and back up should be in a straight line. You can curve the line, that's fine. It's great for outlining and making just sort of single lines. And it has sort of a thick dimension, which is kind of nice. But wherever you go, see on the back, you can kind of see how it's just a straight line. So it should follow that line. Now we're going to do chain stitch. You start by coming up and then you make a little loop or fold your yarn over. You go back down the hole and almost like a running stitch, you make a little stitch, but you want to make sure that your needle, when it comes back up, so now we're going down into the same hole and back up, but see how I've overlapped the needle on top of the yarn? That will ensure that your loop or your chain stays put. So you go down, then back up, and you're coming over that loop. So you're chaining these little stitches. And I try to keep my chain stitch fairly small or short. That way it's easier to see the curve and make different shapes. So now I want to jump from one part of the embroidery to another part that's not too far away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end my last chain stitch by going down and kind of locking it in place. And then I just poke it up into the part where I want it to go. And there's a little jump, so there's some thread. If you go too far, you might want to wind it or thread it through some of the back of those stitches. That way you don't have this big long kind of thread hanging on the back, sagging on the back. And then you just continue to do your pattern, and you can do that as much as you want. So now I have switched colors, and I'm going to keep doing the chain stitch, but it's going to be with a different color yarn. And I just do the same exact thing, except I made my little knot and I pulled it up where I wanted it, and you can just keep going. satin stitch is basically a filler stitch. So you are filling in a shape, in this case, triangles. And the way that I do that is you start at one end and you just go down and then back up, kind of like a running stitch, but it's horizontal, or whatever shape you're making. But whether it's a circle or a petal shape or whatever, you want to lay your stitches, your straight stitches, right next to each other, as close as you can get. So I'm trying to put my needle down just above the stitch previously, and it helps to have an outline. So if you have a pencil or a pen that you want to outline your shape, that really helps, I've found, just to keep the shape correct, where to go in and out. And if you make a mistake and you don't fill in as much, or there's a gap, just go back and fill it in. You want the threads to just lay flat. They're not supposed to overlap each other. They're just supposed to lay down right next to each other. And I found that the wool, like the crewel threads and the wool threads, they often have like a better loft that kind of fills in that amount.